I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. And I knew if I had my chance that I could make those people dance, and maybe they'd be happy for a while. But February made me shiver with every paper I delivered. Bad news on the doorstep, I couldn't take one more step. I can't remember if I cried when I read about his widowed bride, but something touched me deep inside the day the music died. So bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Did you write the book of love, and do you have faith in God above? If the Bible tells you so. Now do you believe in rock and roll? Can music save your mortal soul? And can you teach me how to dance real slow? Well, I know that you're in love with him, 'cause I saw you dancing in the gym. You both kicked off your shoes. Man, I dig those rhythm and blues. I was a lonely teenage bronc and buck with a pink carnation and a pickup truck, but I knew I was out of luck the day the music died. I started singing bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye and singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Now for 10 years we've been on our own, and moss grows fat on a rolling stone, but that's not how it used to be. When the jester sang for the king and queen in a coat he borrowed from James Dean, and a voice
keep him under control, Ida. A rough and ready sort of bloke. Ricky is his name. He liked to chat, to socialise. He always seemed the same. Not often in a striped suit and tie, formal clothes he rarely wears. There's not many airs and graces about Rick. He's the larrikin who swears. But we respect him for who he is, a good, down-to-earth bloke. To him, laughter comes easily, and he loves a bloody good joke. He's a little bit rough around the edges, but his heart's in the right place. He's as carefree as a sunny summer's day, a big smile on his face. A character in his own right, as everyone would know. Rick would greet you in the street with a smile and a big hello. Ladies and gentlemen, today, hopefully there will be some laughter, many smiles, maybe a few tears, but no regrets. Today we meet to celebrate the life of Ricky McGrail, a much-loved dad and dad-in-law, a proud pop and poppy Rick, a loving brother and brother-in-law, an uncle and a friend. The rock, the backbone of his family, the one that organised everything, family catch-ups, holidays. Rick was the go-to for anything and everything, always open to giving advice and maybe telling you what you didn't really want to hear. Rick was a man whose life was characterised by his dedication to his work, to his volunteering with the Tasmanian Fire Service, to providing for his family, his love of travel and cultures, and his awesome sense of humour. Good afternoon to each of you gathered here today to say your goodbyes to Rick. My name is Simon, and along with Peter, and indeed all of the staff here at Parkside, we have been privileged to have been invited to care for Rick after his death and to be a small part of this service. And so we thank you, Shelley, Lisa, Lee, your families, for inviting us to be here. I would firstly like to take this opportunity to ask that if anyone has not already done so, that they turn their mobile phone off or onto silent as your mark of respect for Ricky, for this time is his. There is still quite a bit of seating if any of you at the back would like to come forward and grab a seat, but if you're more comfortable where you are, that's also fine. After our service here in the chapel has concluded, you're invited to stay on here at Parkside for some refreshments. And it's here that you can share with the family your own memories, your own stories of Rick. And after this, you're all invited to join the family at the Burnie Club, where Rick was a member, to continue in sharing and celebrating his life. Due to current circumstances and distance, I know there are many people who unfortunately can't be with us today. So I'd like to mention that we are thinking of them, as I'm sure that they're taking a few quiet moments this afternoon to think of all of us as we are gathering. For those of you who are viewing this service via live stream, I welcome you also. Your presence is equally important. And so today is a day where stories will flow. Stories that capture the essence of the man that is Ricky McGrail. Stories that make us laugh, stories that make us remember things long forgotten, and hopefully we will all be able to learn something new about Ricky that we didn't already know. So let's get to it. Ricky Thomas McGrail was born here in Burnie on the 3rd of January 1957, the middle son of Jeffrey and Maisie. Ricky was a younger brother for Ian, and he became an older brother to Michael. Ricky attended school at Stella Marist before moving on to Marist College for his high school years. Ricky was smart. He was always in the top of his grade, and he seemed to do it all with ease, and he especially loved maths. Upon leaving school, Rick's dad Jeff got him a job. No one can actually remember what the job was. We only remember that Rick didn't really want that job. But dutifully, he went for his first day and never went back. But fortunately for Rick, he had applied for a diesel mechanic's apprenticeship with the EBR, and he started with them not long after that. Rick stayed with EBR, or the Emu Bay Railways, for 10 years. Rick met a young Vicky Mather in his mid-teens, and they were married soon after in January 1975. Ricky and Vicky soon set about starting a family. In fact, Shelley was in attendance at the wedding. Just like Rick, always in a hurry, premature at 28 weeks when she was born on the 16th of February 1975. Second daughter Lisa joined the family on the 24th of January 1978. As sometimes happens, Ricky and Vicky ended up going their separate ways. But, and I know so many of you can attest to this, once you were welcomed and made part of Rick's family, you were there for good. Rick and Vicky maintained a good relationship even after their separation. Rick was devoted to being a dad. He was hands-on. He loved spending as much time as he could with his girls. If the girls wanted to come and stay with him, they would just have to call and he'd be there to pick them up. Ricky wasn't afraid of hard work, and he had a second job working at the top of the town hotel. Growing up and living in the house right next door, he had a pretty strong connection with the top of the town. Rick loved working behind the bar and in the bottle shop, and I'm sure for him it never really felt like work, just catching up with mates at the bar for a couple of drinks. Shelley and Lisa remember many afternoons calling in at the top of the town to see their dad. They'd perch up on a bar stool beside their pop Jeff and soon be served a raspberry. Jeff would then let them light his smokes and sip the froth off the top of his beers. Work took Ricky from the EBR down to the wharves, and he became a stevedore. He started at the bottom and he worked his way up, eventually becoming number 2 on the wharf. Heavily involved with the union, he loved being a representative of the people, and he loved that his role in the union took him travelling all over the world. In all, Rick spent some 38 years working on the wharf, and he retired from there just 4 years ago. To give some more insight into Rick's working life, I would like to invite Troy from Straight Link to come and share his tribute with us now.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name's Troy Bucknell, and on behalf of the Maritime Union, its members past and present who had the honour of working with Rick, and also on behalf of Straight Link management, we all extend our deepest condolences to Ricky's family. Having worked with Rick for almost 30 years myself, I could tell quite a few yarns. Maybe I could tell you that he had a couple of races with his brother Mick and a couple of Brock Commodores back in the day, and probably I could tell you he used to hide his bottle of Bundy in his spare pair of gumboots. He also helped to organise a stripper to come down for a workmate that was getting married, but I'm not going to continue with those things because we all know that never happened on the waterfront. It's just merely for entertainment purposes. But what I can tell you is that there were quite a few characters back then, and Rick was certainly one of those characters. Ricky formed many friendships on the wharf over the years, and it's great to see many of those people here today as we stand together in sorrow, honouring and remembering a good man and a friend. Rick began his career on the waterfront in '85, proudly following in the footsteps of his father Jeff. as a dedicated waterside worker. He had an honest commitment. He excelled as a delegate, as an operator, and in later years as a foreman. Rick had the knack for politics of the union. He became a key member of the negotiation committee during the transitional days to enterprise bargaining in the mid-90s, and he somehow navigated the complexity of having to please both management as well as the workforce, which I'm sure you can all imagine is never an easy feat. During his time as a committee member and delegate, he was instrumental in securing hard-won benefits for his fellow workers, and those benefits continue to support our members today. In recognition of his service and achievements, in 22, the year of his retirement, Rick was made a life member of the MUA. And personally, I'm thankful to Ricky for his help and assistance and common sense advice over the years. It was always handy to have the old fellow there to find out what had or hadn't been agreed to in the past, and his knowledge and experience will be very sadly missed by all of us. Rick was also a very generous man. Many fundraisers over the years, he was always the first to offer to help or reach into his pocket for those in need, which left a lasting impact on everyone who knew him. His spirit and kindness and his camaraderie will always be remembered. Thank you.
Thanks, Troy. Rick went on to meet another Vicky Reeve, and they were married on the 26th of November in 1988. Vicky brought her son Corey, and in true Rick style, Corey was made part of his McGrail network. Again, Rick and Vicky went their separate ways, and again, Rick was always there in the background if Vicky or if Corey needed him. As many of you know, Rick was a volunteer firefighter with the Tas Fire Service, and I was told that he was in attendance at the huge fires on Round Hill back in the 90s. Another act that I thought shows Rick's selflessness and his dedication to keeping people safe. I was told that in those fires at Round Hill, he was in a gully and he laid down under a fire blanket while the inferno raged above him. He popped out safe at the end, but I'm sure he felt that it was a bit touch and go at the time. Again, Rick enmeshed himself into everything he put his time and effort into, and he worked his way up to the second in command of the volunteers. To share some more detail of this time with the Tas Fire Service, I would invite Ty to come forward and share the tribute.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to Rick's family for affording me the privilege to honour the life and service of firefighter McGrail. Thank you, McGrails. We gather not just as a family and friends, but as members of the firefighting brotherhood that Rick served with such dedication and distinction. Rick answered his first call with the Burnie Fire Brigade in February 1990, and for the next 23 years, he embodied everything we stand for as firefighters. Through 7 years as an officer, Rick led by example, showing us that leadership isn't about rancor on your shoulders, it is about the courage in your heart and the wisdom you share with those who follow. The numbers tell the story of Rick's unwavering commitment to our community. From the time computerised incident records began in 1998 until his retirement, Rick responded to over 1,200 emergency calls. And that's just what we have on record. Extrapolating across his full 23-year career, Rick has likely answered more than 2,000 calls to protect the people of Burnie and the Northwest community. Whether it was a structure fire in the early hours of the morning, a motor vehicle accident on a busy highway, or even emergency calls on Christmas Day, Rick was there. More than 850 of those calls recorded were fire and explosion incidents, some of which Rick donned breathing apparatus and walked into danger so others could walk away safely. On countless occasions, Rick was entrusted with one of the most critical roles at any fire-related emergency, the driver. Behind the wheel of the fire appliance, Rick carried the responsibility of getting his crew safely to the scene, positioning the vehicle strategically, and operating the pumps that deliver the life-saving water to firefighters on their tack lines. His service recognised with 5, 10 and 15-year long service to our community. And in 2005, Rick received the National Medal for Diligent Service, a recognition that barely captures the true measure of his commitment to keeping others safe. But Rick's greatest legacy wasn't written in medals or commendations. It was written in the lives he shaped, the young firefighters he guided, and the lessons he taught that echoed through generations of firefighters. I was 17 years old when I first walked into the Burnie Fire Station. Green as grass, twice as eager. Rick took me under his wing, as he did with so many others. He had that rare gift of teaching us not just with words, but with presence, showing us what it meant to be a firefighter through every action, every call, every quiet moment back at the station. Rick was never one to sugarcoat feedback. He believed that direct, honest guidance could save lives, and he was right. I learnt this firsthand one evening when our pages went off for a structure fire. Young and foolish, I overtook Rick on the way to the station. When we arrived, he looked at me with that expression that every volunteer knew, half disappointment, half disbelief, and said with mocking cheerfulness, "Well, aren't you an idiot?" But Rick never left a lesson half taught. After the call, he came up to me quietly and said, "I thought you knew better than that." Those 7 words hit harder than any shouting match ever could. That was Ricky's way. He could deliver a lesson that would stick with you for life, wrapped in enough guilt to make sure you never forgot. In our service, we talk about dancing with the red devil, that barrier between chaos and safety, between destruction and protection. Rick spent 23 years manning that line, and more importantly, he taught others how to stand there with him. The values he embodied, courage, integrity, selflessness, and that particular blend of tough love that only the fire service understands, these continue in every firefighter he influenced. Rick knew that the fire service is more than responding to emergencies. It's about building character, forming bonds that last a lifetime, and creating a legacy of service that extends far beyond any individual career. Today, the Gen X firefighters he mentored across the Northwest and beyond carry forward the lessons Rick taught. He set standards and the examples provided. An example of the respect Rick had within the Burnie Fire Brigade is the social club bar never stocked a range of spirits, but for Rick, a bottle of Bundy was always on hand. Rick's influence continues in every firefighter who learned from him, every life he helped save, every lesson he passed down. Rick taught us that being a firefighter isn't just about you doing the big calls, it's about the everyday choices you make, the standards you uphold, and the people you help along the way. He showed us that true leadership is measured not in the commands you give, but in the wisdom you share and the lives you touch. To Rick's family, please know it was an honour to serve beside Rick. The bonds forged in service run deep. The lessons Rick taught us include looking after our own. And to my fellow firefighters, let's honour Rick's memory by continuing to live by the standards he set, responding with courage, serving with integrity, learning from our mistakes, and never forgetting that our greatest responsibility is to each other and the communities we serve. Rick, your legacy lives on. Thank you for your service to the Northwest community. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick was a family man. Everything for him revolved around his family, organising all of the family get-togethers, always hosting them at his house. Rick would lay it on for everyone. Their favourite foods, champagne and strawberries, scallops for Christmas morning breakfast, the barbecues, the weekend coffee clubs. Though he did get Karen's sponge cake recipe and he just couldn't master it. Rick was the sort of host who would be offended if you even offered to bring anything, let alone if you walked through his door with something in your arms. Rick's home was everyone's home, having various family members living with him if they ever needed a roof over their heads or just a place to be he had an open door policy. If the grandkids got sick, Rick would be the first one there, arriving with a box of lemonade icy poles and caramello koalas. Abby told me one time she was in hospital when Rick's own health was compromised with a round of chemo, and he was advised not to come into the hospital in fear of picking up a bug. He would not take no for an answer, and he was the first one there to visit her. Rick was the best man in his brother Ian's wedding, and Ian said that he couldn't have asked anyone else to be that for him. Rick really was the best man that Ian could think of. Another highlight for Rick was being able to witness Lisa's marriage to Lee earlier this year. He was so proud that day. Rick would do anything for anyone. One time, Ian was in Hobart and he needed a lift, and so Rick left work at top of the town, and when he got back to work, he left work at about 5 p.m, and when he got back at 11, one of his co-workers asked, "Where have you been?" And Rick replied, "Oh, just to Hobart to give me brother a lift home." Lisa and Lee had been talking about buying a caravan, and one night while they were having a few drinks, they found one online in Queensland. They asked Rick if he was up for a road trip to go and have a look and maybe bring it home. Well, Rick was that keen that he had the boat tickets booked for the next day, and off he set with Lee. They disembarked the boat in Melbourne at 8 a.m, and by 3 a.m. the following morning, they were standing in the driveway in Queensland looking at that caravan. Apparently the return trip was just as speedy, and they had that van back in Tassie within 72 hours. Another time, Ian was in Melbourne having surgery, and Rick arrived in Melbourne to visit him. He organised to take Karen and her sister out for dinner to break the monotony of hospital. He took them to some back alley American grill restaurant that he knew of, followed by a night down at Crown Casino. That was Rick, always helping out where he could and trying to make everyone he cared about feel special. Rick was the fixer. He brought himself a jewellery repair kit, and any time anyone broke something, they'd only have to mention it to Rick, and he'd have it off, fixed, and back on in no time at all. If you turned up to Rick's place with scuffed shoes, same again. He'd have them off, nuggeted, polished, almost before you'd gotten in the door. Rick loved a cheeseburger, Macca's or Hungry Jack's, he didn't really mind, and he loved a salted caramel shake from Cold Rock. Rick was a neat freak. Everything had a place, and there was a place for everything. He'd often say to Lee, "When are you going to clean this place up?" Rick had been known to trade in a car if it got a scratch or a dent. He brought himself a Pajero Sport, and he was so proud of it until he showed up at Lisa and Lee's with it one day. Well, Bailey told him that it was a soccer mum's car. Rick pretty much had that car sold that day. I believe Corey now owns the soccer mum's car. Rick could cook, and he loved cooking to provide for his family. His homemade pasties were mouth-watering. His skill behind a barbecue was a sight to behold. He'd feed the grandkids crayfish on their first birthdays, but everyone would complain when he brought home the mutton birds. Rick loved to travel. He loved to see the world and all its sights. He would immerse himself in the culture of the places that he visited. He'd try all the local food, fried insects in Thailand, and who knows what else. He loved the people of the places he went to. Rick organised a family holiday to Bali, organising all the flights, the accommodation, and all the activities that they would be getting up to. They all had the best time, and that trip has gone on to become a family legend. Granddaughters Talia and Abby have prepared a tribute to their pop, and I'd like to ask them to come forward and share it now if they can.
Thank you all for being here today to honour someone I love with all my heart, my Pop. It's hard to find the right words when someone you love so much is no longer here, but I'm going to try my hardest. He wasn't just my Pop, he was my hero, my best friend, my biggest supporter. Pop was also my real life Google. Any question, any time, he would have the perfect answer along with the best advice. He was the kind of person I could rely on without even having to ask. The kind of person who showed love in all little things, fixing things without a word, or just sitting beside you in comfortable silence when the world was feeling heavy. I don't know how I'm supposed to navigate life without you, but I'm going to try my hardest and make you proud every day. Pop was strong, not the kind of strength that shows off, but the quiet, steady kind. The kind that holds a family together, the kind that never backs down when someone needs help, the kind that keeps going even when life throws its worst. Pop never complained, asked for praise or attention. He just showed up every time for everyone. Even after all the challenges Pop endured, the pain, the treatments, he never lost who he was. He still cracked jokes and he still asked how I was going, even on his worst days with the biggest, brightest smile. That was Pop, always thinking of others before himself. Even in the hardest moments, he was gentle, brave and humble. I remember all the little things about him, how he loved his lawn, how he always had the radio playing in the background, and how he made the best sausage stroganoff. I remember his hugs and how safe they made me feel. I remember his stories, sometimes the same one 5 times in a row, but I'd listen every time like it was brand new, because I loved hearing him talk, and they made me smile when smiling seemed so pointless. Pop was the kind of person who found joy in the little things, like handing me the keys to his Audi. I remember one of the many times I took the Audi for a drive and my friends thought it was the coolest car ever. When I got home to tell him, he just smiled and said, "Well, I bloody hope you told him it was your car. They would have thought you're the coolest kid in town." And I said, "No, Pop, you're the coolest kid in town now." And that he was, the coolest Pop with a heart of gold. Pop taught me what it means to be good, not just nice, but good, genuinely good. To treat people with kindness, to work hard and to never take shortcuts, to say thank you, to mean what you say, never let the people you love forget that you love them. There's an ache that words can't touch, feels like the world has shifted, like something unshakable is now missing. And I won't ever stop missing you, but as hard as the grief is, I'm grateful for it. It's the greatest gift to miss someone like you, Pop, because it reminds me how lucky I am to be able to love someone like you and to feel the same love back. I also know this, Pop wouldn't want us to stay lost in his sadness. He wouldn't want us to carry the weight of his loss, but the light of his life. He would want us to remember the good, the laughter, the love, the simple joys. He would want us to stick together to carry on the love he gave so freely. Thank you, Pop. Thank you for every moment, every lesson, every hug, every smile. Thank you for being you, for being the heart of our family. I hope you know how loved you are. I hope you know how deeply you are missed. I hope you're at peace now, free from pain, surrounded by the same warmth and light you gave to all of us. I will carry your memory with me forever in everything that I do, in the way that I love and in the way that I live. I love you more, Pop, in this lifetime and the next.
Pop, where do I start? a great man that taught us so much. You are and always will be one of the greatest. You were kind, compassionate, brave, caring, and you had a heart of gold. You always worked hard and you always put others first. Nothing was ever too hard or too much of an ask. Your legacy lives on through the incredible man you became and the loving family you built. Your selflessness and generosity inspired us all. You gave so much without ever expecting anything back. Weekends growing up were often spent at Pop's house, where laughter and memories filled the air. His home was a hub for celebrations, Christmas gatherings, birthday parties, and all sorts of milestones. Everyone was always welcome, and I loved watching my friends transition from calling him Rick to Pop. There was never an issue, except when the music got too loud. I have other memories of us as kids staying with you at the Ulverston Caravan Park, swimming and playing games. But some of my fondest memories are the simple ones, just us sitting in your chair, reading stories, singing round and round the garden, or You Are My Sunshine. And I hope these songs continue to bring us together as I sing them to Ida as she grows up. When we were kids and we were feeling under the weather, you'd bring us lemonade and a bag of caramello koalas to brighten our day. And every year at the Burnie show, you'd give us $50 to buy a show bag, creating memories that we'd treasure. I'm grateful that Ida got to experience this tradition with you just recently. I promise to keep these traditions alive just as you would have wanted, Pop. Learning to drive was an adventure. Pop didn't have much of a choice, as Mum said, Dad, I'm not getting in the car with her. And I think he knew why. After my first lesson in Somerset, when I nearly sent us through the windshield with a brake slam with my left foot, Pop's laughter hit a look that said, what have I gotten myself into? Our car adventures continued. I burnt the clutch out in my car, much to Pop's disgust, and needed a new car. I found one that I liked in Hobart. I didn't think much of it. I went to work, came home to an empty house. Next thing you know, this horn comes blaring down the driveway. Pop had rallied the troops for a day trip and bought said car home for me. Pop just had this natural instinct to help anyone that he could. Of course, not all our car adventures were smooth sailing. Pop's brand new D-Max got its first dent when I jumped out of the car as we were leaving and I left the door open. Pop drove out the garage not knowing, and bang, there goes the door. I took the blame, and after some choice words, all was forgiven. And then there was a time where Pop got a new lawnmower and managed to tip it in the ditch. He called me and said, quick, bring the D-Max, I've stacked it. Here we are trying to tow the mower out before anyone drove past. Despite the mishaps, these moments are etched in my memory as times of laughter and love. Living with Pop as housemates, as he called it, was a special time. I remember introducing Bronson and the two of them clicked instantly. After Bronson left, he said, holy shit, that handshake nearly broke my hand. I like him. We had good fun. You and Bronno would often stay up together watching movies. One of the things I'll always appreciate about our relationship is that we never had any major conflicts. You had a way of making life easy and enjoyable for everyone around you. When we welcomed Ida into the world, I witnessed a love like no other. She was your fourth generation, and my word, you adored her. Ida's excitement would grow whenever we'd head to your place. Yay, we're going to Poppy Rick's, and she would always ask to visit. The two of you would spend afternoons chatting and laughing together, with the lolly jar always in reach. I'll never forget the time I walked in on you sharing a lolly snake with 9-month-old Ida. My heart skipped a beat, but you were calm and confident, and you just said, I've got her. Your legacy lives on in our memories, and we'll keep the lolly jar stocked for you. Rest peacefully, Pop. Our hearts will always long for you. Love you.
Kiana's written, Uncle Rick, you were more than just my uncle. You were someone I looked up to, a steady presence in our lives. You were the glue to our family. You opened your home, your heart, your lolly jar, and your arms to all of us. You'll always hold a special place in my heart. Rest easy. We love you.
Hello. talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never share, and no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out its warning, and the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words on the prophets are written on the subway walls, in tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue sky. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Oh, what a bright, bright, sunshiny day.
Receiving a cancer diagnosis, life obviously changed dramatically for Ricky. He bravely underwent 12 rounds of chemo, but a cure was not to be. And so Rick registered for voluntary assisted dying, and he decided that last Thursday was his time to go. Rick faced his death with dignity, with courage, and he was at peace with his decision. He was still worrying about everyone else right up until his last moments. Rick died, surrounded by the love, the support of his family. His last words, "I love you all, but I gotta go." And of course, one last flick of the bird to Lisa. The family would like me to thank on their behalf Dr. Bully, the palliative care doctor, Dr. Pete, and Nurse Kelly. Your care, your friendship, and the support to Rick over these last few months has been greatly appreciated. And indeed this thank you spreads to all of the medical staff who have been involved with Rick's care, and especially the oncology team here in Burnie. Professor Rob Fassett, thank you for your role and your support helping to navigate the VAD process. To all of Rick's friends, the support that you have shown to him has been nothing short of amazing. The support shown by you to Rick's family, uncountable messages, calls, cards, and the outpouring of sympathies have been overwhelming. I'd like to thank you, Rick's family. I think you all deserve a pat on the back for caring for him at home, for giving him the ability to choose when he died, for being there on that last day, surrounding him with your familiarity, your warmth, your comforting voices, the touches and the holding of his hand. That is, I think, the best gift you could have given him. And finally, I'd like to say thank you to Rick. Thank you, Rick, for being you, for being the best dad that you could be, for knowing that blood doesn't always make a family, and for accepting all of those people into your life and making them yours, for being the glue that held all of your families together. We thank you for your shit stirring. We thank you for your love of an immaculate car, a well-mown lawn, and your Mr. Sheening of the lawnmower wheels. We thank you for having a solution to every problem, even if your answer was, fucked if I know. We thank you, Rick, for your love of travel, your love of food, and your love of culture. And we thank you for sharing that love with anyone who was willing to go away on a trip with you. We thank you for your love of gardening, even if it was in a tin shed somewhere out in the bush. I'm not really sure what it is you would grow in a tin shed out in the bush, but something, apparently. We thank you, Rick, for your ability to rise to your health challenges. A cancer journey is never easy. We thank you for your overzealous passion for life. If you loved someone, if you loved something, you loved it, boots and all. Rick, everybody here owes you an immense debt. Your shoes can never be filled. What we are essentially doing today is the putting away of Ricky's body. We deeply love and respect his body. It carried around his spirit, his personality, himself for his 68 years. But the thing that drove his eyes, the thing that gave us his smile, the thing that gave us his laugh that we'll never forget, the thing that made his body run and skydive, and the thing that would call you a fucking dickhead, the thing that loved you, the thing that knew you, and the thing that let you know him is gone. But that thing will never ever be completely lost to us, because we all have a little bit of Rick stuck inside of us, and we will have until one day we find ourselves in a place like this, with someone like me clumsily reading words over our own coffins. But until that day, we won't forget Ricky McGrail. We'll think a bit like him, we'll act a bit like him, and we'll laugh at the things that he laughed at. And sometimes we'll probably cry a bit because of him. Rick will visit us in our memories, and tears will form. But so will a smile, because we'll smile the smile of somebody who has had the honour of knowing Ricky McGrail. But for now he remains, locked up inside of us, warm in our hearts, safe in our love. Let Ricky rest there. Let him stay with you. Take him away with you today and remember what it was about him that moved you. Be stronger for him. Be better. Be kinder. And so, Rick, we say goodbye to your physical presence amongst us, and we commit you now. We commit you to our hearts, to our minds, and to our memories. We commit to the telling of your stories so that others will know you, and we commit to loving you from now until eternity, and we commit to supporting each other through our loss of you. And gently and tenderly, we commit your earthly body for cremation, eventually to return to the earth from which all life came, and to which in the end all life returns, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Rick, perhaps these words come to you today from your family. I will take this special moment to turn my thoughts to Dad, to thank him for the home he gave, for all the things we had. We think about the fleeting years, too quickly gone for good. It seems like only yesterday. I'd go back if I could. He strives so hard from day to day, and he never once complained. With steady hands, he worked so hard, and he kept the family name. He taught us that hard work pays off, that you reap just what you sow. He said, if you tend your crops, your fields will overflow. My life has been bountiful. He taught me how to give. In his firm and steadfast way, he taught me how to live. To close our service, we have a last message now from Ricky himself. Thanks, Rick.
Well, hello. Just thought I'd drop in. Just want to check in, make sure everyone's okay. I know there's probably going to be a few tears and sadness and that, but please don't. I've had a brilliant life. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I've so much happiness and love in it. I had 2 gorgeous wives. I ended up with the 2 most adorable children that anyone would ever want, with Shelley and Lisa. And I inherited my boy, Corey. Bit rough in the early stages. We had a few rough trots getting him on the straight and narrow, but we got there in the end. So, mate, just keep living your life the way you are. You're going real well, and I'm so proud of you. I've got my 2 granddaughters, Talia and Abby. I mean, what can I say? Absolutely love them to death. And they have just been my rock. I'm so proud to have been their grandfather, and so proud to be Shelley and Lisa's father and Corey's. So if there's any sadness, please don't. Every time there's been something happy in my life, and the latest was my little nugget, Miss Ida, my great-granddaughter. I was so blessed to have had time to spend with her and to just learn to love her. It was so easy to fall in love with her. She's such a gorgeous little child. Me friends, I've had good mates, lifelong mates, and just to name a couple, Tony and Campbell, who have been with me day after day for most of my life. It's absolutely brilliant, mate. I really respect the friendship that we have, and thank you so much for it. And my brothers, Ian and Mick, me mates. I know they're probably going to be a bit sad, but don't be, mate. You're all going to end up here one day, so just smile. Just enjoy the rest of your life. And to all my friends and family out there, just be happy. Just enjoy it. You never know what's going to come around the corner. So go and have a beer later, have a smile, get on with your life. Tomorrow's a new day. Start it off fresh. And at the end of the day, you'll hear a bit of a song at the end. It's a bit of a classic. I like it anyway, so hope you rock on to it, and I'll catch you around. Such is life.
Would you please stand?